Hey everybody, it's Kory. Thanks for joining me. So, who the heck is buying and selling here in North Idaho right now? We're going to get to those answers, and at the end of the video, remember we're going to take a look at the housing market for the month of October. All right, who's buying? Generally, what we're seeing is an older demographic, usually 55 and older. I would say 2/3 of your buyers right now are in that older demographic. They're coming from the shoulder markets, which is the more expensive West Coast, the more expensive East Coast, and they're trying to move into an area not necessarily motivated by arbitraging their retirement and their equity, because this is not an affordable market compared to most. So those people that are moving here are motivated by something other than finances. It tends to be the culture. They want to be here for the conservative culture. Those that want to move for financial reasons are typically going to go to a less expensive market. So your demographic buying right now, again, older, 55 and older, with equity from their homes from more expensive markets, and they're seeking a conservative culture. Now, who's selling? This is an interesting question that I get more and more of lately, it seems. A friend of mine just asked me over dinner the other night, he's like, who the heck is selling their homes right now? I hear that everybody's kind of locked in their houses due to having cheaper mortgage rates. And that's true. If there's anything that's most responsible for how our market is just frozen right now, it's the fact that 80% of people with mortgages have an interest rate under 5%. And remember, here in North Idaho especially, 40% of all homes that are owned outright. They don't have a mortgage. So those people are not necessarily selling because of financial times, whereas you have people that are locked into their homes as well because they have low interest rates. They refinanced over the last couple of years and they've got interest rates under 5%. So it doesn't make sense for them to sell. So that's who's not selling. But who is selling? The first category of sellers right now, and I think this is kind of the bulk of the sellers, is investors selling either long-term or short-term rentals to reduce their portfolio. They are motivated by what they hear and what they fear, and that is that we're either in or approaching tough economic times, and they don't want to have to manage long and short-term homes through tough economic times. They feel that this is kind of the top of the market, so this is the time that they want to liquidate their properties and maybe roll those into a different asset. Which is interesting because we've got people buying assets here, buying property here because they don't want their money in banks because they're afraid of what could happen with banks. So they want it in a hard asset. And we've talked about this in other videos. But to get back to who's selling, that first category seems to be investors liquidating their properties. Most of those are long-term properties that people are liquidating. They're just done with tenants and toilets, and they're putting their houses on the market. Interesting note, most of these homes tend to be worked pretty hard, and when they hit the market, they're not typically what most buyers are looking for. Most buyers want something that's move-in ready, that doesn't have to be worked on a lot. And remember, rental properties tend to be on that lower end of the spectrum, price spectrum, and they tend to be in neighborhoods that have more rentals than a typical neighborhood. And as a result, most people that are buying right now, remember your demographic that's buying here is looking to retire, and they don't necessarily want to live in homes that are more of a rental neighborhood. So those homes are also tending to sit on the market longer because they're not as desirable for the demographic that's moving here. So the first category of people selling, investors. Second category, sadly, is those that are getting a divorce. And we're seeing a lot more of these types of sales. There's a divorce, they have to get rid of the house, and they're splitting their ways and making on for a new season in their lives. And this is where you're typically going to find those nicer homes that everybody's seeking. And when they hit the market, they do tend to have more interest. They don't tend to sit on the market as long because they've been more of a house that's raised families in it, that's loved. It's not like a long-term rental. So that's your second category of people that are selling. Your third category of people that are selling are those that are moving within the market. And you typically have older people that live in the rural area. They're kind of done working the acreage. They're too old for it, and they want to move into town. So those are your rural properties that are coming on the market. So if you guys are looking for rural properties, remember, you're looking at something that's probably owned by somebody that's older. It's probably got that 80s, 90s vibe going on, and you're going to have to remodel it. The second within that category is the people that are moving up. This is a little bit tougher. You've got people that are trying to sell their houses in town and then maybe buy property out in the rural area. That's a lot tougher to do now than it's been in the past, just because of interest rates being higher. So again, that's your third category of people that are selling. Remember, the first is investors liquidating their portfolios. The second is, distressed relationships that are selling their homes due to divorce. And then the third category is those that are moving up or down within the local market. Contrary to what a lot of people think, we don't see a lot of people selling their home to leave our area. There are those that every once in a while you're here, they want to leave because they don't like the winters. Or we had one just this year who sold her home because she's an older lady that wanted to be closer to her family, her children that were taking care of her, and they were in California. So she was selling that home here to go live with her kids in California who are going to take care of her. And that's typically the type of seller that's going to leave our area. So again, the bulk of your stuff that's hitting the market right now tends to be investors and divorces, unfortunately. So hopefully that answers your questions on who's buying or selling, a little bit inside baseball for you guys so that you understand how our market's jiving right now. Overall, the market's just kind of frozen. Not much is going on. Prices are kind of holding steady. And you can take a look at the stats here, because we're going to roll now into the video and take a look at what the rural market and the houses in town are doing. Let's take a look.